If you couldn't tell by my shirt, my wrinkled shirt, we are going to be talking about my close personal friend, Percy Jackson. Perseus Jackson. And I wanted to talk about some of the adaptations, the movies and the show that's currently coming out, and seeing how they compare and what makes a good adaptation in general. Like, what would Percy Jackson look like if adapted in the best way? It's animation. That's the answer. It would be an animated series. I think that's the only good way that it could be done. However, there are good things and there are bad things about both of the live actions adaptations, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. I'll start with the show. It's currently coming out. I will say that I like season 2 a lot more than I like season 1. Now, obviously, these books, when I read them, I was younger, and they are pointed at a younger demographic. It's like late middle school, I'm assuming, which is young, but the books were still kind of edgy. Like, they were kind of, there was like some stakes to it. Like, there were stakes to it. There were stakes to it. There were stakes to it. It felt kind of gritty, but it was like still like, you know, like your awkward teenage, you know, I'm edgy like vibe of the time, especially like the year it was like coming out. It was very much grunge to like a middle schooler. But season 1 of the show, it felt as if there were no stakes whatsoever. Like, it all felt like it was aimed at like an even younger crowd. So like you're wanting to show this to like elementary school kids so that they can watch this and be like, wow, Percy Jackson's older than me, like, and this is really cool, but it's also not scary for me to watch. That's kind of the vibe of season 1. And season 2, I will say the stakes are higher. It does feel like there are some like serious themes, or it's a little bit more exciting. I do feel like as if that problem has been fixed mostly. I'm going to give them some grace because they have improved since season 1, and they have so many more seasons to like grow into whatever like their identity as a show is. Especially as the audience and the actors age up, I do think that there's room for the show itself to grow into more like it could kind of work like the books did. And I like that. I really like that, and I feel as if I love the actors. I'm not going to say anything bad about the actors. They're all great. I really enjoyed their performances. I'm not going to talk bad about the children on the show, but I will talk bad about Lin-Manuel Miranda, who I just don't like him. I don't like him. I've never liked him. No offense to him, I guess, but we just wouldn't get along, and I know it. I don't know. But I will say that he was not as annoying in the show as season 1. He's in season 2 as well, as I was expecting him to be. I was much less annoyed by him than I thought. And I think I'm going to watch Hamilton for the first time after I finish this. We'll see. I know like one of the songs. Love the cast. No, they're great. I feel like I think they kind of like get down the personalities of at least the way these characters are like read. And it's different, you know. It's always the thing about a book adaptation is you're in the character's head, like you don't see or hear their thoughts, I guess. You are getting other people's perspectives of them. And that's what was really cool, and people talk about this all the time with like Percy Jackson, is the first book series is just his point of view. And then the next series is alternating points of view. So you see how other people see Percy Jackson. And in his head, he's like this like wacky kid who kind of like, you know, has been lucky along the way and like did pretty good. And everyone else is like terrified of him. He's like a dangerous, like one of the most dangerous demigods alive. But he doesn't see himself that way, which is fun. I do believe that would be hard to convey on live action, of course. It's just one of those things that's special about a book. Also in the show, they do quite a bit of showing the camp and the stuff going on at camp. In the movies, they just didn't have time for that. They had to like just cut to the chase. Like camp was like where you started the movie and where you ended the movie. I definitely like seeing more of the camp. I want to see all the cabins. I know they're all different. I want to see like all of the stuff they talk about in the books. I would really be extremely excited to see more camp. And I think that we will for sure get that as, more and more of the story takes place there as well. The thing with Percy Jackson is like they're taking like these ancient gods or these ancient stories and kind of replicating them in the modern day. So these gods are like finding ways to fit in with the modern people. They just become a little bit more modern as the times go on. Like they find where their niche in the whatever times they are living in as that god. Just like the way they present themselves. I think Aphrodite is really cool. She's kind of like an outlier, I feel, because she constantly changes how she looks because beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So like whoever sees her like views her differently, which is a really cool concept. And I am excited to see how they handle that in the show. And if they just cast one actress as Aphrodite, I'm going to be really mad because that is such like, anytime she shows up in the books, that is something that is being talked about. And it makes the most sense. Oh, also another thing about the show. In the books, the Percy Jackson and Annabeth relationship is like probably one of the slowest burns of a ship that there's ever been. And in the show, it feels like they're kind of getting there pretty quick. It seems like someone also said it was only ever a slow burn because Percy was slow, which is funny, but I don't think that's the truth. I think it really was just a slow burn. I would like to see them kind of pump the brakes a bit. Even though I like the actors interacting, and it's nice, and it's cute, I do feel like it would be more of a payoff if they pushed it off a little later because he still has to get with Rachel. So now let's talk about the movies. The movies awakened something in me at a young age, and it was partly my sexuality because Logan Lerman was in it. But the movies, like, there's something sexy about them, and not in a sexual way. There's like a je ne sais quoi, como se dice, type of vibe. Like it's just sexy. Like it feels like a movie. Like this is like a bad but good action adventure like Greek god movie. It was good. They had a little something extra there. And it's just, you can never pinpoint what that is that the show doesn't have. And I do think that, like I said, they have time to grow, and I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt for now so they can find that footing. But the Percy Jackson movies, they just had something a little like there was a little spark to it. There was a little sweetness to it. And it also had like an incredible supply of like good like one-liners or quotes that I just remember in my head. Why are you on my roof? This is a pen. I used to date your daddy. Multiple banger after banger after banger line in these movies. Like, I don't know, there was something about it. Clear the press. The Percy Jackson movies are a lot better when you don't have somebody in your ear telling you that they're ass, because they're not. Compared to the books, that may not be like the best adaptations. And I got something to say about that too in a second. They may not be the best adaptations at all, but they are good. Like in a vacuum, people would have loved these movies. And I do find it interesting as after like this season of the Percy Jackson show, there's not going to be another adaptation to compare it to. Like it was only the first 2 books that have ever been adapted at all. So when season 3 comes around and it's the Titan's Curse, it will also have its own chance to feel like something new. Even though the Percy Jackson movies were like very different from the books. The second movie tried a little harder, but it wasn't as good as the first movie. Also, the movies had such a banger cast, and I do think that there is something to be said about the cast of the show having, I'm not mad at a no names being in stuff. I think that's kind of like the future of television, and I think we've been too caught up on having like an amazing cast or like people or recognize coming back or doing roles in shows that could probably save the money instead of having them. The show they have a few. who's a fucking Edge, who's Ares, does great. Lin-Manuel Miranda as Hermes. And a couple other people. Oh, you know who I love in the show? Percy's mom. She was a favorite of mine in the movies as well. Like, I think that actress really got her in the movie. Like, that was definitely the way I read her. But in the show, she's very much like sweet young single mother. And I really think she's doing a good job. She hasn't been in this season much. I mean, she's not in the book a lot. I don't know. As far as like the budget goes, I think the visual effects in the movies, it's crazy because it was so long ago, and I think they're still really good. The underworld was amazing in the movie, but they weren't there long. But like, how do these compare? How do they both compare to the books? The books, I don't know. Like, the books are just the books. And I truly believe that the best way to animate this universe would have been... Oh, my God. I truly believe the best way to adapt the Percy Jackson universe would be animation. And I'm not the first person to say this. I mean, I think the show's great and the movie's great. I just think it would have been a banger if it had, like... They could have covered the first series. They could have covered... The Heroes of Olympus series, which I said I think some of the coolest stuff in this universe goes down in. They could have just continued with the Trials of Apollo because they could. I know animation still takes time, but they don't have to worry about aging the actors. This is what I was talking about in my Stranger Things video. And I do think that there hasn't... Hopefully, Hollywood has learned their lesson. And there is still quite a difference between season 1 Percy and season 2. But there's, I feel like there's always a bit of a turnaround between the first and second season. So moving forward, they have a chance to really hammer it down. And they are still pretty young. But they got to be careful, man. They can't be taking 2-3 years in between seasons for this shit, especially if they do want to do the Heroes of Olympus later, which I did see that Rick had talked to somebody about that. And I think everyone's open to it, which, I mean, of course, it's a job and it's money. And they should be. I thought it was cool because I forgot in the Sea of Monsters, Hilla, who is the sister of Rhaena in the Lost... in the Heroes of Olympus series. She's like a Roman demigod. She is on Cersei's island in the book, and they put her in the show too. So I do hope... I mean, I'd imagine they would probably recast her at that point. It'd be so long from now. But that was a cool little thing that they added in. I appreciated that. But I definitely think that animation would be... They could just get the epic, like, grand scale of this. It would have been... You wouldn't have to worry so much about the aging of the actors. And maybe, like I said, Hollywood learned their lesson. If they can pump out a season a year, I don't see a problem here. I think that's fair enough. I mean, you can't really ask for more than that. And I do believe that season 3 is done filming. So, I mean, season 2 is still coming out. So they have time. As long as they don't pull a Stranger Things, we'll be okay. God, I hate that show, but I love it. I'm just kidding. We'll see. I don't know. There's just so much I'm so excited to see about this universe unfold on screen now. And I am excited for the future of the show. And I was always the most bummed ever whenever they didn't continue the movies. But at that point, those actors were old. And I don't think they were ever particularly excited about coming back and doing the second one anyway. But I got hope for the show. They all seem like they really love the books. And I think it'll be a good time. Anything Greek mythology, I'm slowly gonna enter back into my Greek mythology phase. That happens once every year and a half, and I'll spend a couple months rereading all of my Greek stuff, reading the Song of Achilles. That bitch, I'm technically rereading that now, taking my time, but I am flipping through. Oh my God, that's a good book. Read that book. I'll talk about that one day. I'm gonna talk about the Song of Achilles one day. But yeah, here I go on my little Greek mythology kick. We'll see. Can't wait for the Odyssey movie. Christopher Nolan. Oh my God. Which is kind of what the Sea of Monsters is about. It's like a retelling of the Odyssey, of course. Can't wait. Can't wait for that to see the live. Sorry, I know he's going to do the... practical effects for that movie, and I think that's so exciting. Can't wait to see how he does the sirens. Charlize Theron is Cersei. Anyone I've talked to about this movie, sorry, this is off track. Anyone I've talked to about the Odyssey has been like, I don't know about the cast. It just seems like every cast in whatever Christopher Nolan story, and Matt Damon can't be Odysseus. I'm gonna give the cast a little more grace. I have a little hope that they're gonna do fine, but Charlize Theron as Cersei is like a genius level, absolute, like mind-boggling casting reveal, and I'm very excited to see her because I feel like Cersei's so overlooked. They actually just did their Percy Jackson episode where they're on Cersei's island, and I thought it was a cool take. It was different than the book, which is another thing. Hold on, let's rewind this a little bit. I know Rick Riordan didn't have a lot to do with the movies. I don't think he had anything to do with the movies. But and there was always complaints about like, oh my God, like the movies are so different from the books. Meanwhile, it is a movie. Like they got to cut a lot out and they got to change things to make it make sense. The show's changing quite a bit too. You can't get mad at the movies for changing stuff if I mean, maybe you're the one making the changes. I can tell the show itself has more love for the source material than the movies. Is it as sexy? No. But it does have more love. And I understand, like, maybe Rick is like, well, we're gonna make this change because of the budget or for this reason. And that's fine because I'm making the call because this is part of like the bigger picture. It still works in like the main story. That's fine. Like for the movies, yeah, they probably were just doing whatever like they thought looked the coolest, and that's okay. But they're still changing a lot. They're still changing quite a bit, and it's not. I know there's no such thing as a one-for-one like remake of a movie or a remake of a book into a movie or an adaptation. But they were kind of acting like it was going to be pretty close. And I got to say, it's pretty different. And it's fine. It's an adaptation. It's not going to be exactly the same. But that kind of irks me a little bit. Don't change so much. Like, we can keep some things the same. It's okay. Yeah, I'm glad I got to say that. That was one of my main points. But yeah, we'll see. They did change the Cersei, the why she was keeping people on her island and changing men into pigs and stuff. Like, I don't know. I kind of liked it when she was like when she was kidnapping them. Doesn't mean she's a villain. She's just a woman scorned. Okay, I think that kind of wraps up everything I have to say about Percy Jackson right now. Who knows? This could become a part 2 at some other time. But my God, those books are good. I think I'm going to reread them. The Heroes of Olympus. Boom. The last book isn't as strong, but I love that series. It introduced so many like really cool characters. Leo, love Leo. Oh my God. Fuck. What a good show. Book. Show. Movie adaptation. Book. Show. Okay. Thank you for joining me today. As a kid, I definitely believed that I was a son of Apollo, but I really, as I get older, I think it was absolutely going to be either Hermes or Dionysus. I don't think I ever had Apollo in me. I think I just was attracted to him.